Hi, I'm Peter. I'm going to take you on a run around my neighborhood in the forest and hills. To get there, I'm running past a couple of places, a construction zone here, and then along a busy road before I get off the road and go into the forest and the first hill. Now, I'm not going to show you the first hill because it's very long to watch. So let's zoom past this. Just as a bit of a check on it's still a hill, and I'm going to start the run right now. I will be running. This is the starting point at the top of that first hill. You can see a quick sweep of the view. That's a Huawei community in the background, and I'm just going to go this way up on top. Now this trail follows a ridge line before going into a valley. There are snakes in the valley which scare me a lot. Today I don't see any, luckily, but I normally do if the weather's warmer. This trail, as you can see, is quite nice on top of the ridgeline. It's well looked after. There is an area of sort of rubbish where I think there's been some construction workers, but the local people around here really take a lot of pride in this this trail and come and do cleanups and things like that. It's pretty fantastic. But here, this is the rubbishy area. So we'll be past this soon, and I'm going to... This run goes for about 7k or so. Sorry for any Americans. This is all metric. I'm from Australia. I'm from Melbourne. And about half of it is along the ridgeline, and then about half of it goes down into the valley. So there is some hills on top here. I will be walking up the hills because I was feeling a bit tired this day. And as you can probably gather, I'm putting this voiceover in after the run. I have done some runs like this that I've been talking while I've been running, but I've decided to change that so that I can focus on my running while I'm running and then have a think about what to say in the video. So this trail is mainly made for the electricity companies. There's a lot of towers around this area of Shenzhen. I'm in Shenzhen in China, by the way, if you hadn't seen that. And the workers need to access the towers for maintenance and things like that, going down a hill here. Very slippery, you probably can't see that, but I'm being careful running down this hill. And so these trails are primarily for the construction workers to access and do maintenance work on the towers. But it's a little different. This park is a lot more wilderness than most of the parks in Shenzhen. Most of the parks that are made by the city are very, very paved and are kind of sterile. I prefer these natural wilderness kind of trails that the power companies use for their access of their power lines. So this is one that is it's only a couple of kilometers from my apartment. So I do run here quite often, especially in the wintertime when it's a little less snaky. That's one of the reasons why there is snakes in here, because it's more natural wilderness, so it's not really looked after, and therefore the animals can kind of run a little bit more free, which in this area is quite a lot of snakes and birds, and I'm sure there's rodents and things like that too, but I don't really see them very often. Here's a first power pole. These have got cages around them now, as you can see. They didn't always. I'm not sure why they've done that. Maybe because there's more people like me using these areas recreationally and just for some safety. That's a little construction area where they're testing the soil for, I guess, another tower. So we'll keep running. You might notice some red ribbons tied to some trees as I run past. That is their markers for an ultra marathon. There's an ultra marathon in Shenzhen that goes, I think it's 100 miler or 160 kilometers. It goes from a faraway coastal area to the Shenzhen airport. Walking up another hill here. And as you can see on the video, I've got tracking data that shows where I am on the trail, how fast I'm going, and altitude and things like that. There's a map with a little cool red dot that follows the path, and then the altitude, you can see the topography of my hills. So it's a little hilly for the first part, the first half, and then it goes down into the valley, like I said before. And the reason why all of that data is there is because this video is not just me showing around the area, it's also, I made them for treadmill running or treadmill walking, so that people like me can look at scenery and have a little bit more interesting things to see and listen to than just looking at a blank wall or watching a TV show. This is a really, these videos are quite popular on YouTube now, and I use them myself when I'm running in my apartment if it's too hot outside, which it does get in Shenzhen. Shenzhen's subtropical, so it's good to be able to see scenery from around the world, and this is one video like that. So now going up a little hill again. The trees here are mostly native. There is some introduced trees. Most of the introduced trees are from my home country, from Australia, because they grow pretty quickly and they don't need much water. As any Australians would know though, these trees they love to burn, the Australian ones. So, but it's because it's a little more humid here than in Australia, than most of Australia. That doesn't seem to get the fire danger here like I'm used to back home. Down a hill. There's a ribbon. See, that was showing that we are on the track, the ultramarathon track. I haven't done that race. I've done some shorter sections of it, like 30 kilometers and things like that, but I haven't done the whole thing. I'm not sure whether I have done big races like that before, but I haven't done one here in Shenzhen. Back through. This gate's open for some reason. I'm not sure why. And after this is a steep... No, sorry, that's a bit further. So you can see here it's very runnable. I don't really need to walk up many hills. It's because it's following the top of the ridgeline. Once I've done that first climb, it pretty much just follows along the top, which is really great. Many hills in many of the parks in Shenzhen are mountain parks. And for a runner like me, that means you're either walking up a steep hill, like this, but for a lot longer, or walking down a steep hill that's too steep to run down as well. So this is kind of good because there's more flat sections that are able to actually run apart from this. Now you can see the handrail there is made of wood. That's actually made by the local people. Most of them are kind of like elderly retired people that come up here and clean up the rubbish, and build things for, like you'll see right now, some tables and chairs and shelters and things. They bring their grandkids up. They will make little makeshift playgrounds and all sorts of really cool things like that. I think it's great. I didn't see any on this run today, but there's normally a little team that is just scouting around with some bags and cleaning things up. I want to join them one day, I really, but I haven't yet, and part of that is because my Chinese language is really bad. Okay, so now the trail will continue forward a little. While I'm running, I'm going to talk a little bit about this area of Shenzhen as well. This is the Longgang area, which is where most of the world's mobile phones, cell phones are manufactured. There's factories all over here. Huawei is here, Foxconn is here, which makes a lot of Apple products, and other big factories like that. I'm not sure about Xiaomi. I think Xiaomi is near here, but I don't know exactly where that factory is. So this is regarded as pretty much the tech manufacturing, I guess, region, like the Silicon Valley of China. Shenzhen is in general. Shenzhen is to China what Silicon Valley is to the US. Anyway, I'll keep running. So here you can see we're still running along the ridge. We're going to turn pretty soon. There'll be a junction up here which is going to either go left or right. If you go straight on, then you'll come to a much more established park with lots of families and things like that. I'm not going to go that way. I'm going to go left. There it is. Then we'll continue around the loop before going down into the valley. Later on in the video, I find something in the valley that I wasn't expecting, but I'll let you wait until you see that. Here's another structure. It's a really awesome one. And again, there's no people here. So, and one of the reasons why there was no people here today was because it was actually quite a cold day. I think it was about 12 degrees centigrade. Sorry, you people in the USA. I'm not sure what that is in Fahrenheit. But on the right hand side of me, there is a kind of a big gully as well, which can be explored, and there's lots of things down there as well. So now I think we're coming to the major junction now. There's a tombstone here that marks it. No, sorry, that's a bit later. Okay, so continuing about talking about this area of Shenzhen and Shenzhen in general. I just really wanted to say Shenzhen has got a lot of other variety too. There's beaches in Shenzhen. There's a fantastic coastal walk between a couple of beaches. Here's the tombstone, by the way, in the middle of this little junction here. You can't quite see it. It's just on the right hand side there. But I'm going to turn left again to follow and go down into the valley. On the right hand side now, this is where you can go towards that park as well. So I'm not doing that. Going past more of the things that the local people make. Shenzhen has got, I want to video this one day. It's a 10-kilometer trip. It's very slow because it's incredibly technical. It's much hillier than this. It's right on the ocean. It gets closed down every couple of years because people actually do die on it, which sounds incredible because the people who try to do it are very unprepared, and I don't know what they're thinking. They use very inappropriate clothing and they fall off cliffs basically. It's obviously tragic, but the trail itself is amazing if you treat it with respect. Right, I'm at the top of the hill. That was the top of the hill there, sorry. I'm going down now. This is, of course, one of my favourite parts to run because it makes it much easier than going uphill all the time. And the hill gets steeper. You can see from the topography on the top of the screen that this hill starts going down pretty steep, but not too bad. This is not as slippery steep like the ones earlier on. Another gate to go around, a cage to go around. You can't go through that one. And then we're getting to, at the bottom of this hill, this long sort of winding hill will be in the valley. So some other things in Shenzhen. Shenzhen's got the biggest electronics market in the world. That's at Huacheng Bay. I will run through there as well and do a video. In fact, that'll probably be one of my next videos. You can see the red ribbons, meaning that we're still on the ultra marathon course. And some other places in Shenzhen are there's a park run here. Park run, if you're not familiar with that, they're all over the world now. It's a 5-kilometer lap around a park, funnily enough, and they're really popular. There's a Hash House Harriers here as well, which is an off-road running group that uses trails exactly like this. In fact, this trail has been used as a Hash House Harriers track before. And then there's some other running groups as well. Going up a little bit. And I have to turn left here. There's a track down going down a steep hill right to the left right now. that is a direct and very short link to the valley trail, but I'm not going to, obviously not taking that because there's a better way to go than that. I want to stay on the ridge for as long as I can. I'm walking here, as you can probably see. And this area coming up pretty soon, there's actually people that go camping here. They'll bring tents and things. I don't know if I see any on this run, but it's quite common to see them just up here a little bit further. And of course snakes. But like I said, I don't see any today, so you won't see me go crazy jumping out of the way of any snakes or anything like that. I took some friends on a run here once, and I was explaining to them that there were sometimes snakes, and not long after talking to them about it, I had to jump over a huge black cobra, which just scared the hell out of me. Oh, there's someone over there, a hiker. Oh yeah, this woman was lost. But I felt that she was on the right track. My communication with her would be terrible, and I probably wouldn't be able to help her much anyway. And I knew that she was in a pretty good place where she could find her way out, so I left her. It's a pretty small area as far as getting lost in a dangerous way, so I didn't feel like I needed to stop any further than that. Now down a steep hill. And I had a very unfortunate incident at the bottom of this hill once, where there was a construction worker went to the toilet and I didn't quite see it, and I accidentally stood in it, which was not a good thing. But yeah. And again, there's not many construction workers. There's no construction workers here today, but there's certainly a lot of. There's something towards the end of the video that I see that is new, and I'll talk about it when I get to it. And I'm not saying that from a clickbait point of view, I hope. It's just, yeah, pretty cool. The one last tower going under, and then we'll jump down the last little hill going down until I get to the road. But I love all of this. That shot right there was where I took the thumbnail photo from. It's just a really nice looking part of the forest. Sometimes there's motorbike riders, dirt bike riders that ride through here, but they generally don't come on this part of the trail. It's a little bit too technical for them. They generally stay on the forest trails, the twin trail, I guess you'd call it, where cars can go. This is a little bit too single trail for them. Sometimes there's mountain bikes here, but not very often. And this is a steep descent now. Nearly fell. It's actually really steep here. You got to be very careful. I'm holding onto tree branches as I'm going down. Now that way. And on the left-hand side, as you'll see soon, there's a little lake, but the water quality is terrible. It's not used for drinking water. It's just this kind of weird, if I was in Australia, I'd say almost like a billabong. It's stagnant water. There's no water going in and out. It's just kind of stuck there. And it's pretty rank. It doesn't smell good, but there is fish in there, and a lot of people come fishing here. I don't think they're fishing for commercial sales. I think it's just for their own consumption, but it's reasonably popular. I think I see some fishermen later on. So now this is the start of the valley trail. I'm down the bottom now, as you can see from the topography. And now it stays pretty flat. There's a few little hills, but nothing, crazy. I was once riding my mountain bike here, a little bit further up, and I lost the front end. I had a crash. My front wheel went sideways, and I went down, landed on my shoulder, and I broke 8 bones. I broke my collarbone and 7 ribs, which was not fun. So yeah, I haven't ridden here since, but as you can see, it's a beautiful little twin trail. Not a lot of cars go here. Most of this trail is here for motorbikes, that the little electric scooters and things like that. And most of the riders that are using it are people going in fishing. But this reminds me of some of the places back home in Australia, in some of the mountains. If you're from Australia, you might, or in Victoria, Melbourne in particular, you might recognise some of these places like the Otways or the Dandenongs, or some of the Great Ocean Road kind of trails, or even over in Gippsland in the high country. As far as my effort is concerned, you can hear my breathing is still pretty regular. My speed is pretty constant. What am I doing right now? I'm doing 11 or 12 kilometers an hour, which is pretty comfortable. And my heart rate, it just went down to 0. Something happened. But it was generally sitting on around about 150, which is a little bit high, but that's part of the whole, hilly terrain kind of. Where is it now? It's now come back to what it was. I don't know why it dropped off. This is where I had the mountain bike crash, by the way. You can see it's in the high 150s, which is more than it should be. It should be somewhere in the mid 140s to be comfortable. But I love all of these stats and data. They can be put together with the data that comes out of a GoPro. There's software available that you can match that, and it finds all of the metadata and then makes visual representations of everything, which is just amazing. The technology is incredible. So some other things in Shenzhen while I'm running along. I just mentioned before the world's biggest electronics market is here in Huaqiang Bay. It's like as big as a typical city's central business district, but it's all electronics. It's all things like computers and phones and LEDs and anything you can think of. Anything electronic is available there. There are some high quality, and then there's some very low quality stuff too. You need to be pretty buyer beware of some of the stuff. But if you know what you're looking for, then you can get some real bargains there, and it's there's no end of choice, as well as repair shops and things like that. There was a little track on the left-hand side that I went past. That was that link that I was talking about earlier. I haven't actually shown the lake at all, but anyway, it doesn't matter. You're not missing much as far as the lake is concerned. And apart from the running clubs, and there's a couple of old traditional Chinese villages here in Shenzhen, but not many. One of the things about Shenzhen is it's a very new city. It was, I think about 30 years ago, there was only about 60,000 people living here. Today, the numbers are well over 10 million. I think the estimates are more like about 15 million or something live here. So it's regarded as China's absolute boom town, boom city, that's gone from a village, because 60,000 is considered a village in China. To like it's one of the biggest cities it's one of the biggest cities in China now, and certainly one of the wealthiest as well. There's a lot of money here. Also. But you can see the trail here is pretty flat. I'm going down a bit of a hill in a second, but it's very runnable. I can't run all of the ridge. There's some hills that I have to walk up, whereas the valley trail down here, which is, by the way, where most of the snakes will be. This is where I saw the big cobra. I jumped over it pretty much here. It came around a corner and it was on the trail, or covering the whole trail basically. And what freaked me out was I didn't have any time to stop because it was straight after a corner, so I just jumped and I was in the air. And as I was in the air, I kind of looked down and the snake was scared of me as well, but it knew that I was kind of a threat, so it was coiling up ready to defend itself, which was terrifying. But then when I actually got past it, I didn't even look behind. I didn't even want to... I knew that it wouldn't be chasing me, and I knew that it wouldn't be going as fast as me, so all I had in my very terrified brain was to get out of there, and I'm sure that it would have got out of there as well. It would have slithered off into safety as well. I'm used to those kinds of things in Australia. When I was running, there's some parts in Australia that I wouldn't run in the summertime on my own because there were too many aggressive snakes, like tiger snakes, which were very aggressive. They'll chase you if they feel threatened and cornered really easily. So then they will use attack as their defense. And then there's other huge cobra-style snakes in Australia. The eastern brown snakes are a member of the cobra family. They don't fan their neck out as much as what the Indian, the classic cobras do, but they're certainly part of that family. But they're kind of sleepy snakes. They're not very aggressive. They're huge. They're very long, but they're pretty scary when you see them. But I've never really felt too threatened by them. It's the tiger snakes that I was always very wary of. Something's happening with my audio. I hope it's okay. It seems to have lost a lot of volume. Now, how far into this are we? We are... Where's the... well, anyway, you can see from the topography... Oh yeah, 4.2 kilometers. Okay, and I think this is about a 7 kilometer run, or 6 or 7 kilometers. So we're getting there. Why did I stop then? I don't even remember that. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I got a little stone in my shoe. And as I've learned over the years, a quick stop to get a stone out of your shoe is much better than trying to put up with it, because they usually end up getting in places between your ankle and the sock, and end up, by the end of it, there's blood, and it's painful. It takes a long time to heal, so it's better to just stop and get rid of it as soon as it happens. It's almost eerie how few people there are on this day because of the cold conditions. But as far as a runner is concerned, these are perfect conditions. 12 kilometers an hour on a trail like this not 12 kilometers an hour, 12 degrees Celsius is very nice. And Shenzhen's officially subtropical, so most of the year Shenzhen will be 30 degrees. Doesn't get really super hot like 40 or more, but it's like a constant sort of low 30s for most of the year. But it gets very humid. It's in that sort of subtropical, kind of style. So it's pretty hot and sweaty. And in the middle of the summer, when walkers love to come here, it's too hot for me. I generally don't. I bought a treadmill. I do a lot of my running on a treadmill in the summertime, and that's why I got interested in doing these, doing filming of some of the trails as well, because I wanted to make my own trails that I could run to at home as well when it's too hot to be outside. Up a little hill, not much. What's my speed? 12k an hour. That's not bad. That's 5 minutes per kilometer pace, which in a marathon terms, that is, I think it's a 3:27 marathon, if you're interested if you know about marathon running. And 5 minutes per kilometer is a 25-minute 5k, which is much easier to work out, of course. I'm in reason. Oh, my heart rate's gone way down to 130. I think there's more downhill, and I'm off the ridge line, so it's a bit easier. I'm in reasonable shape for running. I'm averaging about 100 kilometers a week, so this run is pretty comfortable. I've been doing about 15k a day to get to that 100, but I normally do about 10 or 12k's a day for most days, and then just have like a one long run of 30k or so on a Sunday to bring it up to 100, which is a nice balance. See the landslides here, the trails. Actually, there was some very dry years in Shenzhen. It was basically drought for a long time, and then we had one wet year. And when we had that one wet year, there was a lot of waterlogged ground, and I think that the hills weren't really prepared for it. So there was a lot of little slips like that. It wasn't anything huge. Nobody actually got injured in any of it that I know of. There wasn't anything, disastrous, but it was definitely a lot of these small sort of scale landslides. But the Chinese are very good at infrastructure, and one of the things that they do very well is stabilize any kind of dangerous hills like that with concrete reinforcement, which you could say from a naturalist's point of view is not a good thing, because it disrupts the nature. But then with the amount of people that live here and have to be safe, it's a nice balance, because they'll clean the hill, they'll put the concrete reinforcement in, and then they'll just leave it again and let the plants grow back. So after a few years, it's like they've never really been there. But what there is a much safer, hillside that won't ever collapse, or shouldn't anyway. There's about, what would there be, 1 more kilometre. Not even that. Actually, we're nearly off the trail. This is nearly at the end of the actual dirt trail. The last part goes onto a very cool, disused expressway. It's like this ghost expressway. You'll see it in a minute, in about 5 minutes, where it's a very well-made expressway roadway. But no cars go there. It's actually blocked off. It was going to be a link, but for some reason the government discontinued it, and it's just been sitting there. So people go and use that. I'll talk more about it when I get to it. I'll just enjoy this nice last piece of forest here before we get to the bitumen. And this is the last hill. There's a little junction here that you can turn right, and it goes back to where we're not quite there yet. It goes back to where we started with the valley road. So you can just do laps around the lake if you like to. You can just see some water on the right hand side. Looks like a snake, but it's not. It's a piece of a branch. Where is that junction? I think just here. No, I'm wrong. Here, that's just it. So I'm going to turn left, but there's a trail that goes... Oh wait, no, I'm still not there. It's longer than I first thought. But I will go left when we get to the injunction, so just a heads up if you're running on your treadmill that you don't go and step on... sometimes when I'm running on it and I'm doing a run like this that somebody else has made, they can sometimes turn really quickly, and your natural reaction when you're on a treadmill is to counterbalance that, and you can normally sometimes... here's that junction there. So trail to the right goes back to the start of the loop around the lake. But I'll keep going here. But yeah, I've nearly had fallen off the whole treadmill because of that, because my body balance and things like that. So it's always good to know where the person is running next. This is the last little bit. There's a share bike. There's another share bike. There's a whole graveyard of share bikes here. There's, I think there used to be more, but there's still probably a few hundred in here where they've just basically got too old to be used, so they are stored in places like this. I don't know whether I'd call them dumped. They probably will come and recycle, pick them up one day for their metal. Now, this is the new part. This is a surprise that I wasn't expecting. Construction workers everywhere. These are the ones that make the rubbish, by the way. And what I can see that they've been doing is I'll wait until we can see it. And here is the unused road, which may be used in the future now that I can see this construction. Maybe this road has been planned for many years in the future, and only now that they're doing this construction will they use it. Maybe. I'll say hi to this guy. They're all friendly. There's never any problems with any of the workers in these kinds of areas. Sometimes some guards can be unfriendly, but they have it's a mix of doing their job and a bit of a power trip. But all of these guys, they're always fine.
Hello.
So this construction, it's a tunnel. And I had no idea. So this is that tunnel on the left-hand side there. That's going under the ridgeline that we went over before. So I'm not sure where that's going to come out on the other side. But yeah, they're building a whole new tunnel system, and it looks like it's a train. It looks too small to be a car tunnel, but I'm not really sure. And I couldn't read the signage. But anyway, that was a little surprise. Surprise for me. I mean, you guys haven't been here, so I suppose it doesn't really. It's all new to you. This is the ghost roadway. I know that I'm safe here running on the road because cars just can't get here. I've seen people camping here too. I would like to do that myself. And I'm getting to the end of my run. 6.2 kilometers. We pretty much just go around this corner, over a hill and then down, and then we are back with civilization where I started when I first got onto the dirt trail. So I've got about half a K, I think, to go. And one more little hill, it's not much, before going over a small bridge. And if you've seen any of my other videos, it joins where I do a loop run around the district, which is a 10k run, which stays on the roadways rather than any dirt. And these are all very close to each other. Here's the blockage. This is why I'm confident that no cars are going to be here, because it's literally closed off. And because it's closed off, a lot of people do long-term car parking here. I'll jump over this somehow. Oh yeah, that's right, I jumped over the other side. There's a guard here, but he's usually asleep. I don't think he's very good at his job. He certainly has never bothered me or anything. And I've even come in here with lots of other people, like in a minibus, to go hiking, and the guards really don't care. I think their job is just to be there. But it might be different now that they're building that tunnel. Maybe they might be a little stricter now, I'm not sure. I hope not, because it's pretty cool that you can access it. See the hills on either side of this? That's what I'm talking about with the concrete reinforcement, where they'll do it and then they'll just walk away from it and let the plants grow back. And these are the buildings right in front of me. They're the Huawei buildings. They're the ones that I showed you right at the start when I first started the run, after that little steep hill that I skipped the filming of. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run down to the road, the busy road where I started, and this video will finish at the when I get across. So thank you if you're still watching from at this point. Thank you very much for watching the whole video. I hope that gives you a look at some of the areas of China that you would never normally see, wilderness, suburban wilderness, things like that. And I'll see you on the next one. So thanks, and bye bye for now.